Don't trip over the wires. Don't trip over the wires. Don't trip over the wires, guys.
Episode 100. The Circle. With Jim Thompson, Niall Phillips, Luna Austin, Alex Outlaw, and Ayvianna Snow. On the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. With me, your host, Martin Colton.
I'm happy with that.
Do you know that is?
Is it The Great Showman?
Turtle? You're the Great Showman.
Hey!
Is that Great Showman?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Back to the
Hey!
future. Yeah,
Cool.
like, I was saying to my son before I came out, like, don't grow up. Like, go out and play with your friends and, take your toys with you.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Like the idea.
It's playtime.
Yeah. And now
So-
you've got a new toy as well. This 360 camera.
New toy, 360 camera.
Is that what that is?
So we're in the round. So
Do you think you're out of shots out here?
What I'm trying to see. Is that really what that is?
yeah, 360 camera.
Yeah,
So
it's
first time using this. So I'll edit this both 360 and I'll edit it to be like have your moments as well, so it can be watched normal. But yeah, 360.
Nice.
Yeah, I think
This is
360.
definitely. I like this better than the kind of like. I felt quite. I mean, I did the first one, so it
Yes.
was like with me and you going. What we're going to do then? We're just going to talk shit.
Which we did. Which
we did. Yeah.
Which we did. But it's evolved since then and
You've
evolved
leveled
into
You've
this.
leveled up.
Yeah, we're leveling
Yeah,
up.
oh yeah. And can I just say, I feel like I've really missed out on the tradition of the clap.
Yeah, I don't even
I
know where
didn't have
that.
that either.
I don't know where that
So
started.
I was like second episode.
Yeah.
Did you do the
Yeah.
clap?
I did the
You
clap.
did the clap. It doesn't happen like every
I
single
don't think
time.
we did the clap, did we?
We didn't do the clap. Okay, so we better do the clap, haven't
Yeah.
we? All right, and let's make this start.
All right,
so
okay.
basically, we do 3, 2, 1, clap. Okay, and then we're in.
Okay.
So
Don't
3,
do
2,
that.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Oh,
God,
Jim!
no.
Right, let's do it again
No, no, no,
properly.
no.
We have to do it
No,
together.
so I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. It was just for comedic moments.
All right.
You know, comedy's all in
Okay,
the
all right.
it's all in the type of
Back
clap.
in the zone, guys. Back in the zone. Come in, lean in.
All right.
3, 2, 1. There we
There
go.
we
That's the proper start of the podcast.
Reminds me
It
of the
doesn't-
drama game. You have to look at each other and clap.
I
And then
do.
we just clap.
And it's just something that's happened. And then someone said to me after one, like, why don't we clap? Like, you're clapping with everyone and not me. So
Yeah.
I try and
Yeah.
remember to do it every time now. It's become a lovely little tradition. So, this might be a new tradition. The
This
circle.
is lovely. I like this.
Yeah, this
I can't
is,
believe this is episode 100,
Yes.
That's
And
so mad, isn't it?
isn't it?
it is, man.
It's
Brilliant
insane.
is what it is.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't, you
And
don't-
I've enjoyed all of the podcasts I've listened to. I haven't listened to all of them because I have a life.
Oh.
But I've tried to listen to as many as I possibly can, and obviously I've listened to all 3 of yours and loved them,
Mhm.
and looking forward to listening to yours as well.
Ayvianna's yet
And there's
to
a
come
few
out.
others that I know are coming, which I like. Oh, I can't wait for that one now.
Yes, yeah, we're about
Which is
about
good.
6 weeks ahead, so 2 a week for the next 6 weeks. So yeah, about 12 episodes yet to come out. But by this time, anyone watching and joining, they'd have seen these and seen them.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're calling this the Circle. This is the Circle.
Yeah,
so
well, I think
welcome to the Circle.
Also, thank you for
Um,
having
you.
you.
So who have we got? We've got Alex Outlaw,
Hello.
singer. How would you
Yeah.
describe yourself?
Oh, how would I describe myself? I just don't know anymore. Yeah, singer, mostly musical theatre and opera, although I'm veering off into country, jazz, pop. I'm just being versatile, like in my life. Yeah, calligraphy artist as well. I guess they're my 2. Did you not
Didn't know that. Did not know that.
Yeah. So I'm a professional calligraphy artist. I work for like proper brands and everything. Yeah, I get paid.
That's
I
awesome.
know. Pretty cool, right?
Nice.
Very.
Yeah, so that's me.
And
That's
then
who I am.
we've got Jim.
Well, yeah, a builder's entrepreneur, online Santa, speaking coach, theatre producer, director, twat.
Nice.
If you want to,
Yeah.
In that order?
Yeah,
In that order?
no, probably twat first. Yeah. For my sins, your best mate.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And Luna Austin.
Oh God. Yeah. Actor, dancer, theatre producer, director, writer, kind of ish, maybe something I enjoy doing. Yeah, entertainer. I'm just kind of enjoy doing all of it. Puppeteer, that's the latest
Oh yeah,
thing.
puppeteer.
Puppeteering.
Mhm.
That I'm getting more jobs in that area now, which I love, which is great. Barmaid. That
She's a
counts.
great barmaid.
Yeah, that counts. That
Barmaid.
counts.
Oh yeah,
we can-
barman.
We can,
I've been
we
a
can
barman.
put that to the
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
I think
All the
that's
normal-
Is that
Yeah.
everyone?
We've
Has
all
everyone
done
been
it,
a
yeah.
barmaid at some
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
Yeah,
Barmaid.
Kind of staple in this industry, isn't it?
Yeah, or waitress, waiter.
Dance teacher,
Yeah.
all of the things.
Nice.
Yeah. And buzzing.
What a lovely list.
What a lovely list.
And we've got Ayvianna Snow with us.
Hello.
Hello. How do you describe yourself and what you do?
I'm an actress.
Actress.
I'm not a multi-hyphenate. You've all got multiple jobs. I think.
That's
More
all
of a
correct.
necessity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
No, I'm underwhelming. I've only got one job.
I wouldn't
It's
say.
fine.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that you've got your union.
I'm an equity rep as well. Yeah.
Ah.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we've all got to suck up to you then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be in huge trouble.
Yeah. It's actually the other way around. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Is there the danger, or do you look up? You're out to look after people, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
have to suck up to you. Or you won't vote for me. It's actually that's the way
Ah,
around it. Well, I serve
Gotcha.
the people.
And we've got Niall Phillips as well.
So
Welcome,
I'm
Niall.
an agent at IAP, and I run Lonesome Workshops, which is an acting workshop company, which is in London and it's in New York. That's what I do.
Nice.
Those two things.
Nice. They're two quite big things.
I was
aren't
just
they?
going to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
successful at it as well.
Well, I don't know. We discussed this last time. I don't really sit very well in success because I think it'll be destroyed. So I still think it's
Oh, yes.
all like doing its thing. But yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, like I say, welcome all of you to the circle, to the first one. I'm very excited to see all your lovely faces and to have you all here. So with this circle, how I feel like this is going to work, I feel it's quite important to say this is a safe space. I invited you lot because I thought you're all quite like-minded individuals. They're all people that I feel like I can trust, and I feel like I'll bring you together and you can find some trust and connection together. And I feel like we can also maybe challenge each other on the way that we think a little bit. So I feel like we're a good group to be able to express how we feel and talk about the things that we think about and do. But if there's something there you want to challenge on, then speak up. It's an open floor. It's not kind of like we've done this before, one at a time. It's if you want to speak and you've got something to add, then join in. Yeah.
I don't really. I've never thought about challenging people.
Okay.
The one thing though I wanted to do, because actually, whilst me and Luna have known each other for a little while,
Yeah.
I think this is possibly the second or third time we've actually been in the same room together to
Yeah,
chat.
it's one of those weird things where we know each other through other people and we keep kind of like missing each other.
Yeah,
Like
so-
bumping into each other and just being like,
Our main connection is your boyfriend, Danny.
yeah.
So I used to do birthday parties with Danny for youth creators parties, which is Kelly, who by the time people have listened to this will have heard Kelly talk about youth creators parties. And the first time I met Luna was dropping Danny off after a party, and you started laughing there, yeah. So me and Danny are doing a party. It's one of the hottest days of the year in Hertford. And Danny has got to get back to his house because Luna is going to drive them to rehearsal after a party, which is in like Dunmore or somewhere like that,
Yeah.
was it? And stupidly hot day. And to get from Hertford to Danny's house, we had to cut through this little hamlet, Stansted Abbots. And as you come out of Stansted Abbots to get to where Danny lives, there's a really steep hill. And we got caught up this really steep hill. The traffic had stopped. And we're kind of peering over what's happened. And there's somebody's been knocked off their motorcycle. And there's been like an incident. And people are struggling to get this motorbike off the road so they can clear and make sure. And Danny has got just the biggest, sweetest heart. And he said, oh, do you think we should get out and help? And I said, no, Danny, we're not getting out to help. 2 reasons. 1, you're dressed as Spider-Man. And 2, I'm dressed as Thor. We are not becoming a meme. We are not getting out the car. As much as you want to help, this ain't happening. We're just going to kind of let them get on with it. So then we kind of get back and tell Luna the story. But my favourite story with Danny on parties was Youth Creative just got this Iron Man suit, and they bought it off a sort of like a fan who was doing cosplay and stuff like that. And it was quite a bulky suit. And again, I don't know why, but it was like one of the hottest days of that year as well.
It seems to be a recurring thing, doesn't it?
And they hadn't quite worked out whether they were going to do Iron Man as a full-on character who did the 2-hour party, or whether he was just going to be an appearance. So you kind of come on near the end, go, oh, hello, and stuff like that. After this party, we discovered that it was definitely going to be an appearance, because I was going to pass out at one point. It was so hot inside the suit. The kids had all gone off to have a break. It was a party at somebody's house. It was quite a big house. And instead of having like lunch or whatever, they went off and had ice creams. They had the parents had organised an ice cream van to turn up and give them all ice creams, which gave me a chance to have a breather and some water. And when I came back to join the party, Danny, dressed as Spider-Man again, was reading out from like a Marvel book of characters. And so he was like trying to find out if the kids knew about the characters and stuff like that, and shout out certain answers to questions. And he turned the page, and it was Thor. And Danny went, does anybody know the name of Thor's hammer? And the little boy put his hand up at the back, and he went, and Danny went, yeah. And he said, is it vagina? And Danny, being Danny, he was just like, not quite. It kind of sounds similar, but it's actually pneumonia. Whereas I am probably making Iron Man look like he's having a malfunction because I'm going like that in the suit. But yeah, so that's my two stories of doing parties with Danny. But
Luna, you don't know so well, do you?
Danny has told me about your story about being aerial.
Oh God, yeah. It's about I can kind of talk about this now because the company that I've worked for has closed now. It was called Play People. It was a brilliant company to work for, but they've closed down now, which means I can tell this story, which is great. I was hired, and you know when you guys probably have similar things of being in this industry, moments when you just kind of go, it's like an out of body experience where you just suddenly go, what the fuck am I doing? Like we do some very strange things in this industry, don't we? But there was a day where I kind of thought to myself, I was like, I've completely fucked up my life. Like, what the fuck is going on? So I was similar thing, working as a children's entertainer, and I was hired for a party, and it was only a visit at someone's house. So it was like half an hour, maybe an hour maximum. And my boss said to me, it's a really interesting one. It's actually for a woman, and she doesn't realise she's about to get engaged. So her fiance has planned this idea that they're going to have a family party, and to entertain the kids, they've invited Ariel, who is his future fiance's favourite Disney princess, and she's going to come along. And whilst you're distracting her and the kids, he's going to get ready to propose. She's going to turn around. It's going to be magical. I was like, how lovely. I was naive. So I get dressed up. I don't know whether or not you all know Ariel. She's a mermaid. She's a mermaid, and rather than wearing her ball gown dress, it was requested that she appeared as a mermaid. So like, great. The only trouble with this costume is it's very naked. It's a bra and a tail, like a long, sparkly sequin tail. So I turn up to this flat in Harlow, in the middle of nowhere, on a random like weekday around lunchtime, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm getting there, this is something not quite adding up about this. And I turn up to the flat, and it turns up it's at like the top floor. I was like, okay, there's not really any cars around. Like I thought it was going to be a big party. Fair enough. So I go upstairs, bearing in mind very naked, and I find the flat number, and I can't hear any music. I'm like, okay. So I knock on the door. And this guy opens the door. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I was like, oh, I must have the wrong house. That's fine. I was like, oh, yes, in my Ariel character. I was like, oh, yes, I'm here for the birthday party. I'm here for the party. He's like, oh yeah, she's through here. Oi, Gemma. I've changed the name, obviously. So I walk through, and he kind of pops his head round what I then find out is the living room. And he's like, oi, Gemma, I've got a surprise for you. And here she is. And I walk in fully in character because I'm nothing if not committed. Dressed as, just to paint the picture, big red wig, big sequin tail, bubbles blowing out of my little bag that I've got, music blowing out of my little speaker that's like da 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 da. I've got my arms going and everything. Walk through the door, and there's no one there. It's just this woman and what turns out to be her best friend sat on a sofa like this, both in their pajamas, looking at me like, what the fuck is going on? So I assess the situation quite quickly, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I do? There's no kids here. Do I break character? No, you must never break character. Never break character. Like, you don't know the situation. You've been hired to be Ariel. This is what you must do. And I'm like, I just make a quick assessment in my head. And I'm not very good under stress. As an actor, you'd think I would be. But what tends to happen when I'm under stress, I panic and just go full throttle into a situation. I don't reverse. I just talk. I just blag. I just go completely over the top. So I'm like, hello, I heard it's your party today, and oh my goodness, it's amazing, and look at your wonderful pajamas, and aren't they fantastic, and oh my goodness, this is so wonderful. And I'm fully committing to this. As they're staring at me, one of them's got a fag as well, she's like...
I'm imagining like Wayne at a slob. That's
honestly.
Kind of
so, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got to be here for at least like half an hour, 40 minutes.
Oh, man.
What do I do? So I'm like, okay, I was like, oh, so it's wonderful. How have you spent your birthday so far? She was like, here. I was like, marvellous. And how do you intend to spend the rest of your day? And her partner goes on her back, I suppose. I was like, okay, this is rapidly going downhill. So I'm kind of still stood there.
Palpitations at the moment.
I know, it was a lot. So
I'm worried about where this is going. We got to like.
I was like, is this like a sex trafficking thing? I was like, what's going to happen here? I was like, I am naked in someone's apartment. Clearly, this is not going well. So I'm like, oh, and this is your friend. Who's your friend? And she's like, Abby. And I'm like, it's wonderful to meet you, Abby. And I'm really hamming it up. And finally, the guy kind of indicates that it's time for him to have the surprise. I'm like, thank God. So I look around the room and I notice that bless him, he's tried to decorate the room like it's under the sea. It's very sparse and very haphazard. There's a few plastic fish hanging from the ceiling, and there's like a fishing net over their bookcase, which looks suspiciously like cut up fishnet tights that's been like stretched. It was all very like random like plastic seashells and all sorts. And he's like, oh, right, Gemma, do you notice anything about this room? She's like, yeah, you've hung some dead fish from the ceiling. I'm like, da, 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 in the corner, like still with my bubble machine, still going for it. And he was like, yeah, but what about over there? She's like, oh, you've got some like plastic Barbie shit over there. He was like, no, but that one there. She's like, it's a pink plastic seashell. And this interaction's going on forever. And he says, well, go and get it. She gets up, picks up this plastic seashell, opens it, and there's a ring inside. So I'm like, thank God, this is nearly over. And I'm like, what romantic gesture is he going to do? This is his moment where he's going to propose. And he's standing about as far away as me and Martin are now. And she opens the thing, looks up at him, and he goes, that's for you, that is. And then silence for such a long time. And me, being my fucking awkward self, I was like, I can't deal with silences. So I was like, so is that a yes then? And they both look at me like they want to kill me, like just death stare. And they both look at me and go, of course it's a fucking yes.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, it's really time for me to be getting back to the ocean now because, I don't have this tail for very long and I need to talk to King Triton. And, well, I hope you have a lovely time. Goodbye. And for all my work, exit like this with my fishtail arms. And I get outside, I'm like, what the ever-loving fuck just happened? I phone my boss and I'm like, please never do that again. Please never send me somewhere again. She went, oh, we've just got an email from them saying that they want you at the wedding party. I was like, fuck off. I was like, piss off. But yeah, so that was the worst party I've ever done. I'm probably forgetting certain details about that story, but that was the main bulk of it. But yeah, Danny and I often say to each other, if we bought each other something from the shops, he goes, that's for you, that is.
Nice.
But I think that's a really
Nice.
good point. People don't realise how dangerous acting and modelling is for women, because you do get these weird emails, and like I used to get a lot of stuff through Mandy, and I also do modelling through Purple Port, and you do get messages saying be at this place at this time, and you don't know what you're walking into. And most of the time it's fine, but occasionally it isn't. And there's kind of,
You're
no
putting a lot
guidance
of
as
trust
to-
in strangers.
Yeah, meeting strangers, often in a part of town that you don't know the area. You might be not near a tube station. There's no guidance as to how do I get out of this situation. Like you were saying about, should I break character? But you're trained to not break character. But then I think probably you should have really, because your safety is paramount.
How did that make you feel?
I was so uncomfortable, and I was quite young at the time. So I'm 26 now, but I've been working for this company for like 7 years. And when I first started, I was still a teenager, and like essentially I was like 18, 19, which is still really young. I know it's legal, but it's still not in the realms of knowing yourself. And I'm very good now, like I've done the work in therapy and all sorts about knowing my worth, and that it's okay to say no to things, and and knowing my value. But certainly when you first enter the industry, you're kind of taught you need to do anything.
You're taught to please,
yeah.
to please, and the younger you are, the harder it is to say actually no.
It's funny you say that about like modelling and things like that. One of the first jobs I ever got through Mandy was, on paper it just looked like a very professional photography shoot, and as we kind of went further and further down the line, it was like a one-man band who was taking shots in his parents' attic for a bikini photo shoot, and I was like, no thank you, actually I think I'm busy on that day. But it's so easily done, and I know people who have and obviously I won't name names, but I know people who have had awful experiences, where a situation has got out of control before they've even realised how far down the line they are. And then it's like you say, you're taught to please. As an actor, your job is essentially to create a character to please other people.
As an acting coach, Niall, how do you feel about that? Someone that you've got these actors, you get these actors in a room, and you're an acting coach, but then you also send people out there as an agent as well.
Yeah.
So how do you feel hearing these kind of like horror stories, aren't they? How do you feel that? Do you send them out in that way?
It's mad, isn't it? Because there's such an element of trust in this whole thing. Like in the workshops, there has to be. You used that word safe space before. There's loads of people just use that term, don't know what it means. And like being an artist, like you said then, like I don't think it's a gender thing, I think it's an artist thing. Like you're so vulnerable, and you give so much of your energy and your soul and your time to this craft.
So you were saying?
Yeah, I got it. So we're back in the room. So we took a little pause there for technical blips, beeps, or whatever you want to call them. Burps. But we're addressing this, like, we throw out this term, safe space. I threw it out there.
Yeah.
Because for me, I understand what that means. But actually, you were one of the first people that actually really highlighted that to me and showed me what and how important that is.
I used to hear about workshops in London, and when we did them in New York, it happened, where the practitioner just mugs people off and just shuts them up, or says, "Oh, you're done," and moves on. And I always thought, like, that is massive for an artist who's come to a place to learn and grow. But I think going back to the first point we were talking about, it's like, yeah, there's loads of people in this industry that are dog shit, but I don't know why we're talking. I don't want to give that my energy. There's so many beautiful souls that just give a shit about art and making art and telling stories, and that's where all my energy's always gravitated towards. That might be because I'm a male and I've never been put in that vulnerable position of like, why am I going to your loft where your parents are making spag bowl?
I, as a male, I've been there. The very first time I went to see an acting agent, he was there. He had a photographer there, and I was about 16, and I'm having like this photo shoot for the agent, and it was slowly transforming into something else. It was like, can you just undo the top button of your shirt?
Yeah.
And then how about you just take the whole shirt off and just wear a vest?
Oh wow.
And then like I'm there having like pictures in a vest because like take that, like kind of boy band kind of style. I think that's all right. And then it transformed into why don't you do it in your pants? And I'm like 16.
What?
And like like why don't you just? And I was aware enough to say no, that's not what I want to do, but. At 16, they're still quite tough.
However, if I asked that now, you'd be like, "Wait,
they're right on." But but at 6, it is a world out there that is dangerous. I don't know everything, mate. But it happens to. I don't think it's exclusive to females. I think it happens to
the first headshots I ever did.
They tried to get me to bath as well. Like if I'm going to finish that story, and I said no. Like that's not what I'm about as an actor. And at that time I didn't tell anyone. Like I should have gone home and said to my parents 100%. Like this is what's happened. This is that should have. But as a 16-year-old, I wasn't aware enough to do that. I was just aware enough to say no.
How did that affect the next thing you went into? Were you kind of a bit nervous about, oh my god, is this going to happen again?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I did carry with me for a while of like, oh, this industry is a bit dangerous. Like it isn't necessarily. You're not around friendly people all the time.
I was aware of putting somebody in a situation that they possibly felt uncomfortable. I was directing a production of Teachers, and I needed a Gail. And
what's a Gail?
So one of the characters is called Gail.
Oh, okay.
And I had a male character, had one of the girl characters who was dark haired with long hair. So in order to get a contrast, I wanted somebody with short blonde hair. So I put it out on, I don't know whether it was Mandy or one of those sort of like internet sort of things, but I got a few responses, and I was struggling to find a space to audition. I'd managed to get some space at the Playhouse, but on this one particular day with this one particular actress, I was struggling, and I happened to have access to a room in the Latin Bush Centre, which is like a complex of sort of like office spaces near here. And that was all I had. And it was just very weird because I picked her up from the station and we were like kind of chatting and driving to this place and then going into this room that I had to unlock with a key. And it was like all very remote, and I felt, oh God, I hope she feels all right. And then we kind of just ran some lines, but she was completely putting all of her trust in me and didn't know me from Adam. And I was, kind of really aware that this was like, I hope this is, she doesn't panic or anything like that. But obviously I'll just try to make her as comfortable as possible. But it was possibly the weirdest situation I felt I've put somebody in without meaning to make somebody feel uncomfortable.
So, Ayvianna, what should someone like Jim have been thinking about from the union's perspective? What should Jim have been thinking about in regards to that performer?
I suppose it's you email her beforehand and tell her precisely the address of where she'll be and how long she'll be there and what's expected of her when she is there. I think you probably did all the right things, I would imagine. I think you get a sense quite quickly of when someone is a serious person and when there's something wrong. You can tell quite quickly. I would say it's usually the tone of the messages. I guess that your messages probably have a professional tone.
Yeah.
I've had experiences where I was offered a role by somebody who purported to be a filmmaker. There's so much of this, again, it was through Mandy or one of these sites. And then he wanted to have a meeting to talk about it, and he said he was texting and sort of DMing me through Instagram, supposedly to talk about the role, which is fine, but there was something just off about the tone of the messages. Like one evening, quite late, he started liking quite a few of my posts, and I noticed, but I didn't say anything. And then in the DMs it said, I hope you don't mind that I went on a bit of a liking spree through your posts. And I said, no, that's fine. And then he said, why, do you want some more?
Oh.
And the tone of the messaging is wrong. And then the following day he sent, so supposedly the character was a bit rebellious or something, fine, whatever. He sent me images of t-shirts, and on each t-shirt was a photograph depicting a different sexual position, and sent me like about 10 of these different t-shirts and said, which one of these do you think your character would wear? So it's quite clearly an attempt to get me to say which position I like or some stupid thing, but it's done under the guise of, I'm just discussing the character, that's all, and you think. And the following day I actually decided to call him. I called him, I had his phone number, and I said, look, I think these messages are inappropriate, and if we're going to work together, I can't engage in this kind of texting with you. And as soon as I called him out on it, the job disappeared, and he never contacted me ever again. Wow. So I think as long as you're kind of not doing that, as long as you're not that, which it sounds like you weren't. You weren't pressuring her. You went out of your way to make her comfortable. I think he did everything right. I
think it's amazing that you had. And this isn't me putting you or anyone else down as a person, but like you had the guts almost to call him and say, no, this isn't okay, because I think so often people just kind of hope it goes away.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing is, I'm a bit older now, and I'm 60 films down the line on IMDb.
So you're 60.
What's your regime? That's amazing.
I wish I was 60. I'm 60 IMDb credits down the rabbit hole, so I'm kind of not so desperate anymore. So I sort of, nowadays, if I don't get a film, I think, but I think if you go back like 10 years ago, maybe when I was a bit more desperate and you sort of feel like, oh God, I need to get something on my CV, then maybe I would have gone along with it. And I think people do take advantage of people when they are young, and they're in that I hate to say actors' desperation, but people do take advantage of it.
It takes a while to get to know yourself and how you're going to, I guess you've got to look after yourself.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can look after each other?
Is there no sort of like safeguarding guidelines that Equity kind of can put out?
I mean, we have a whole body of work around safe spaces. At one point, there was a helpline that you could actually call. I mean, you can call and you can report somebody to the union. Yes, I imagine there are guidelines as to. I mean, it's stuff that's mostly kind of common sense stuff, like tell people where they're going to be. Communication has to be professional. You can't ask anyone to take their clothes off, without that would need to have been in writing beforehand, so you could think about it. You can't throw it in on the day as an afterthought. A photographer can never touch you ever. If they want to change your pose, they point or they direct. No one should ever put their hand on you. So there is stuff like that.
Alex, what's it like out there in the world of live entertainment when you're like you go into a lot of places like where pubs, clubs. You're quite. I saw it like an Instagram post recently, and you're in there with the audience.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you look like you're having a great time?
You do, don't you? Because you have to.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Most of the time you are, but sometimes you do get the one dickhead that thinks it's absolutely appropriate to either touch your gear or touch you, and you just think no. And again, I am older, so I will have that more fuck off attitude. I think I just have to look at them and they know that they're completely fucked up. I think that's the teacher in me.
It's the teacher.
It is the teacher. Like, don't touch me. But it worries me. And I was a singing teacher for 20 years. So one of my jobs, one of my roles was to educate my students in this and to be very conscious of safeguarding and to make sure that they understood it, both in secondary schools and commercially. And it amazes me actually that safeguarding doesn't just continue through life. I think it does a lot more now, but everyone should be safeguarded at every point in every job. It doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter where you are. I think safeguarding should just be a thing. Just don't be a dickhead. I think that's the thing. Like, and if you do get someone who's like some pissed up knobhead, hopefully the staff of the place, you just kind of have to go, not this one. But again, sometimes it doesn't happen.
Such great advice. Just don't be a dickhead.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's how
Show
I live.
up and just don't be a
Don't
dick.
be a
I
dickhead,
feel like I
don't be
need to
bad,
get
don't
a
be a dickhead.
T-shirt made.
Just
This could
don't
be
be
the
a
motto.
dickhead.
Well,
This-
this what this
Hey.
episode is going to be called.
Don't be a dickhead.
Don't be a dickhead.
I love that. Take 'em up.
Yeah. Hey, can we get merch?
Yeah, we get merch. Yeah, don't be a dickhead.
Don't be a dickhead,
Welcome
there
to
you
the
go.
academy. Yeah.
I think
Perfect.
you were saying about like safeguarding as like it continues through adulthood, but in a professional workplace, like a business, in most places throughout the UK, you have HR, but in a lot of acting jobs, you don't. Or they say we have HR, but it's not. It's the director is also in charge of HR, or the producer is also in charge of HR, and it's not so clear on where you can go.
I
these
think
days.
that's in a lot of freelance jobs as well. Well-being is a massive thing, especially for freelancers, because they don't have necessarily that support. I mean, really lucky to have the union.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of freelancers, like, so in my calligraphy side of things, I don't get any support with anything like that because there's not a union, there's not a anything
I was
to
saying with your
support.
graphic design and
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's
yeah.
just nothing. You've got, I suppose, in some respects, you've got organisations like FSB, Federation of Small Businesses. If you sign up to them, and they give you sort of like legal, support, but you've got
It's
to
the
pay
business
for
side
it.
of things,
It's the business
isn't there?
side of
The
things.
business
It's
side,
not
but the
actual safeguarding.
well-being.
An emotional side of
Safeguarding,
things as well, because you
Yeah.
were saying we kind of have to look after ourselves. Is there a way that we can look after each other? And again, it comes back to just don't be a dickhead. Like, as a producer, I think my experiences as an actor, going through things like where I felt quite unsafe or like I was in a dangerous situation, and having worked with people where there is no HR department or it has just kind of sucked. Now as a producer, I'm so, like you were saying about making other people feel unsafe and how aware you are of that, I'm so aware of that now. And when I have actors who are working under me, I'm so aware of, even just to the point of probably being quite excessive with it, saying to them, if there is anything that I'm asking you to do, if there's any material in this play that you are not comfortable with, if anything happens, just tell me. There'll be no questions asked, we'll change it. Because I'm so hyper aware of how, especially in Amdram, which we do a lot of as performers and things, for fun, to keep creative juices flowing and things, but then also often that leads to work and things. In that setup, it's very easy sometimes for dynamics to be shifted, and either for people to think, oh well, we just have to do that because there's no guidelines in place, or go the opposite end and say, well, screw it, I'll just quit because I don't enjoy that. There's a lot of like weird warped guidelines, and I think I'm just very aware of the experiences that I've had, making sure that other people don't go through that at my hands. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
You're trying to show care, aren't you? You're trying to
Yeah.
show care to your fellow artists and performers.
Definitely, and and like I said, I think sometimes I get quite excessive with it in terms of not just putting in place safeguarding of our own forms. Like at one point, so in a play I did recently, we had fake firearms in the play, but we were using quite advanced props that were airsofting guns, so they could be loaded. And I got very anally retentive about it, and I made all of the cast sign not contracts but statements of promises I was making to them, where I was saying none of us will ever have things that can be loaded into the gun at any time, either in the rehearsal room or on stage.
So what is this, an airsofting gun?
It's like, so I don't know a huge amount about it, but one of our cast members who I trust very much, plays airsofting, and it's basically like an extreme form of like paintballing.
Right.
But they are guns, and they can be loaded with things, and you know it can injure people. People could lose an eye or something like that. I was just so hyper aware of that I was really going to the extent of saying to people and showing people that we cared. And so even though these aren't real guns, I brought in a safe, and the guns after every show would be locked in the safe, and there was only I and one other person who was our stage combat manager who had access to the safe. Before every show, we'd get them out and put them in the places for the actors to collect them. Each actor was assigned their own prop. None of the actors were allowed to touch another person's prop. It was, we really were meticulous on it, which was probably overkill. However, we even informed the local police station in case someone drove past whilst we were having rehearsal and saw that we had these guns, or anything.
And what
like
was the
that,
core of you doing all of this? Doing
to
all
make
these
people
safety
feel
checks?
safe.
Mhm.
I didn't want anyone in my company to think that I was cutting corners, even if they thought it was overkill. I wanted people in my company to feel safe and to feel like, and also if anything did go wrong, to say we've done X, Y, Z to try and make sure that this didn't happen.
Cover your own asses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really important, isn't it?
So we've started off this conversation making the whole. I think we are making it sound all quite scary. The whole being a performer.
It is, man. It's
like,
terrifying.
It is, isn't it? It's
No,
like
but
quite, there's some worrying sides to it. But is there a way that we should be like looking to come out of our comfort zones? Because how do we do that? How do we do that as artists? Go into a place where we're not completely safe all the time, and go to somewhere different that can be new and exciting. Again, like Niall, how do you send actors out there able to embrace what they don't know with this scary world?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? So I'm sure everyone's read that thing about what Ray Fiennes has said and what Matt Smith said about the whole trigger warning thing, and about like, well, they shouldn't have them. Then people's point is, well, if you don't need them, then they're not for you, so just walk past them. But they are for some people, so we have to embrace, make everyone feel supported. It's such a weird one, isn't it? It's because I think, and people mentioned before, like when you're working in this industry that's so vulnerable and it's so scary, like you said before, I think communication is a big part of it. But I don't know, like a lot of the jobs we put our actors up for, they're in professional spaces that there are no corners, there are no like things being cut. So it's a real tough one. But it's annoying that we have to say things like just don't be a dick, because there are so many people out there that try to like earn a quick buck or like the cough's back or screw people over. I just don't understand. I don't. But maybe it's because I left drama school like 17 years ago, and I've had loads of beautiful experiences, and the dickheads that mess me about just aren't around anymore. Because I think word spreads, and I think if you're going out there with an intention to tell stories or work with artists or fill buildings with these beautiful narratives, that's going to last the test of time.
So you're saying we have some responsibility in ourselves
100%.
to make sure that we're avoiding the negativity and the dangerous.
Yeah.
But isn't what the whole thing about, if you're in it for the right reasons, then your intent is going to be good anyway.
Yeah,
if you've got people who are thinking, I know a quick way of getting a woman to take her top off, I'll pretend to be like a photographer or something like that. They're not doing it for any particular reason apart from their own satisfaction and their own gratification. If you're in it for the art, then you're naturally going to be from an environment where you are with like-minded individuals. You do have a narrative that you all communicate through, and you see things from, as you say, through the art, as opposed to, this is like a quick buck, or this is like a cheap thrill sort of thing. So I suppose when you say, when companies have got more credibility, and they have got the HR department, the stunt department, everything is much more professional, then people will naturally kind of go, it's a proper thing, isn't it? So
also
you would walk into it feeling much safer.
But now, if you do something wrong now, it'll be online in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So if you are like running workshops and making people get naked, word will get out in 20 minutes. I'll be fucked in 10. Like it won't build, it won't work. So there's the accountability factor that we live in now, which we're so lucky to do that. But I think like you, and also I think you can tell when you meet someone, especially in the world of acting or storytelling, like who's the good egg. And also people talk. It's weird, like when sometimes we get like say 15 followers in one go, and I go, there's 15 or there's 16 actors together, and they're talking about workshops in London. And someone goes, Lonesome's quite good, and he just goes because word spreads.
That's what's happening with this as well with the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll bring someone into this podcast now, and then I'm finding like 10 or 15 people all of a sudden follow or are messaging me saying, "Oh, can I be part of that?"
Yeah, I love that.
And it resonates. The positivity resonates.
100%.
And
After
the negativity
after that initial email going, I'm not. I've just started a podcast. Can you come to the Star Theatre? Just be me and you and a camera.
Are you not worried about the safeguarding side of that as well?
Not with him.
We've been through it. We've been through it all, haven't we?
I think you're right. I think like the integrity, the intentions of people, and also work. It's famous saying in this industry that work leads to work. I've got far more acting jobs from word of mouth and working with people than I ever had from auditioning with strangers. A lot of my favourite jobs and my more successful quote unquote jobs have come from doing a play, and then there's one person in that play who then goes on to do another project, and they recommend me for that project, who then is working with that person, so they recommend me for that project, and vice versa. And I quite like that.
100%.
I love that connection and that community and that like interwoven. Everyone says this industry is quite incestuous, and it is.
Oh yeah, but any industry is incestuous.
Yeah.
You kind of I know people from like the lighting world.
Yeah.
Sorry, the
street
what
lights,
world?
the lighting, street lights, internal lights, and stuff like that.
That's
and
interesting.
there's only like about 8 companies in the UK, but they all kind of like move around each other. So it's like if you're within an industry, you will float around similar sort of circles because you've got a background, you've got a knowledge that is transferable.
But the people that are good to work with will always be the ones that you want to work with again. And again, when I was a teacher, the one thing I used to teach the kids that was really important, and the adults I taught, was again, don't be a dickhead, because if you're working somewhere, you might not actually be the best person in that audition. You might not. There might be someone that walks in that is superb, but they've worked with them before and they are a dickhead.
Yeah.
And they've worked with you before and you're not.
Yeah.
And you'll get it.
Yeah.
Because they want to work with you.
100%,
Because they appreciate your work ethic, the fact that you work hard, the fact that you get the job done, the fact that you're willing to work to actually do it. So that's
100%.
massively important.
When I first left drama school, I used to write letters to all the people at National Theatre, and I wrote to Simon Russell Beale, who is Monster, and he rang me up the next day and he said, "Hello mate," and I've just left drama school, I was like 21, 22, and he said, I'm at the National tomorrow, do you fancy a cup of coffee at 12? And I was like so gassed, so I met him and he said to me, "Good news travels fast, but bad news travels even faster." And he said, the reason why I work constantly, and it wasn't an ego thing, he said, it's because I give a shit, I care about this job. And now he's played Lear, Hamlet, but he's played every role he's played and worked with the same directors because he's got a heart of gold. And I remember when I spoke to my mum about that, she was like, "I'll be careful." Like he's like, he was 50 at the time, whatever. He was known as this like iconic, quite gay man. And my mum was like, "He might be trying to like chat you up and stuff." And I was like, "I don't know, Mum. I look like a door, so I don't know if that's the case." And then I met him, and it was so. And he was like, he brought me coffee, and he wasn't like, "Oh, come on, let me show you my dressing room." He just was normal. And he got me loads of meetings at the National, which I then fucked up. But it was like, it was so beautiful that he was such a loving man.
Yeah.
But the advice stands, like, people talk about, it doesn't happen as much now, but before the pandemic, you get loads of phone calls from like producers or like directors, and then my name would be on someone's CV, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're on Bob's CV, what do you think of Bob?" And once it was for a gig at the Courts, it was a big gig, and I was like, to be honest, he's a knob. He's a knob. And she was like, "Okay," and then they went with someone else. Because it's like, I can't be recommending people because I don't owe people shit.
No.
And he was a knob, and then the play was massive as well, transferred and all this stuff. It's like he could have been on that. But I think, well, then don't be
Don't
Don't
Don't be a
don't
dick.
be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
And word travels, and your name on CVs is a big thing. And it's like, just don't, show up, be the nicest person.
When you said that you went to a few things but you fucked it up, what happens? What's the story behind that?
Just it could be hours for this. I used to go to auditions and do everything apart from the prep because I was so scared of failure. So I thought if I don't work really hard and I fail, it's because of whatever reason. I auditioned for the lead in a play at the National, and it was Marianne Elliott, who I think is the best director, and I think it was Tom Morris, two massive directors, and Alistair Kumar, who's the head of casting at National now. And I was so nervous. My mum, well done mum, went, why don't you just have a few whiskies before you go in? So I had 3 whiskies and turned up pissed. But I thought because the show was ginormous, I'll be in a massive auditorium so I won't smell it. And I got in, they were like, I was at the NT studio, and the room was like half the size of this, and they were there. And I went high, and I thought, they can smell my fucking breath. And I stunk of like hard whiskey. And the worst thing was, the play had been published. So I took in the play, and I knew what scene they were going to do, which was the main scene. And then Tom Morris went, oh, because I got the play. He said, oh, we won't do it from that. And I went, no, it's fine. And he was like, okay. As in, like, we've edited the play since it's gone live. So what you're going to read now is the old version. So you got 2 pages in, and obviously it wasn't matching up what they had and what I had. And I was like, yeah, can I have the actual script? It's like the worst thing ever. Didn't get that job either, which is no surprise.
But,
And
you,
then
but you learned something.
learnt loads. But I think that's
don't
what
have 3 whiskies before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, all them stories are just dreadful. A lot of them are just revolting. But they make me, I think now, a better coach or a better person. I work with a lot of grads, and I say to a lot of them, like, here's just some tips. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Like time, like I used to go to auditions late. Remember Nick Heitner? I met Nick Heitner at National, and he went to me. It was for I think it was for Oedipus with Ray Fiennes, and I was about a minute late, and I turned up, and I wasn't even running. I just walked up towards the door, and Nick went, "Hey Niall," and I was like, "Yeah." He went, "Cool. You Bob, whatever. Let's go." And I was like, "No, I'm here for the thing." He said, "Yeah." He said, "You're like, I'm not going to wait for you. I run the National Theatre. Cheers, Bob. Let's go." And then Bob went in, and I just stood there. That's to ring my agent, who was now is one of the biggest agents in fucking. And I was like, I don't think Nick's going to see me. And he was like, "You're late." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You're mad." So all them things happen. But again, it goes back to that thing we spoke before, and like how I think what makes me understand this monster industry is that you have a job to do. This is work. And I think I never saw it as that. I just saw it a bit of a piss about.
Do you think that these things happen for a reason?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think that you had those failures and you made those mistakes so that you could be something else later on?
100%. Yeah. Remember nagging Tom Morris for every good boy deserves favour. Tom Stopper play, and I nagged him for a part, and I nagged and wrote letters and nagged. I used to ring the casting team, and one day he went to me, "We're going to cast a girl. So just stop. You're shut up, Niall, shut up." And he would snap. He was like, "Whatever you're saying to me, whatever how much it burns in you, you're not. We have to go with a girl." And they went with, I can't remember her name now. She's incredible. I remember seeing the show and being like, I couldn't even do that. Like you run an orchestra, and you tell this most beautiful narrative, and there's this like twatty grad of like 21 be like, "I want the part," and I just used to like ring and call. I remember I used to ring the National like every Friday afternoon and be like, "Any jobs?" And they'd be like, oh, what was her name now? Juliet Horsley, who's like massive now.
Oh, yeah.
Went to me, "Niall, stop ringing me, mate. Like, why are you just ringing me? Asking me like the biggest casting department in the world, probably in the world. Hello." And my agent used to drop flyers, because I used to work at National as a barman, so I used to go in with all my gear and just drop flyers off for shows that I was in. And then just both turn around and be like, "You're a crackhead, mate. This isn't how this works." But I had to, and we talk about failure all the time, and I've got so many, I could write a book on how much I failed, because I just didn't care, but I think it's because it was based on the foundation that if I did everything and I showed up, that would be getting it wrong because you're not good enough. But the way I didn't make it was because I just used to be a silly sausage. Going to auditions, dry, all that stuff.
Went from "don't be a dick" to "I was a silly sausage."
But there's just like I used to write diary notes about auditions. Some of the auditions would be life changing. Would be absolutely life changing. And my agent now, like one of my mates is his main associate now, and I talk about it all the time. I just think, oh God. But I think I had to do that. I had to experience all that stuff, which I love. And now obviously I'm nearly 40. I can look back and just go, well done. And I work with grads that I can just go, don't do these things. But sometimes learn the lines, show up, and then just do your best, and then go home.
See, I got a lot of questions about the universe now, and we were speaking recently about this, weren't we? That I'm listening to these stories about how you've had all these like little moments, and you've taken that, and you're affecting so many lives now.
Yeah.
Within your workshops, and you're giving them all that knowledge and all them failures that you've had to drive all of those people forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. Was that supposed to happen to you?
I think so.
So that you could then have all those students, and they could experience things in a different way.
I think and this is very cliche, but I think what's truly meant for you, it will find a way to grab you and go, come here. Because I didn't like being an actor's cool, but I don't think I used to drink quite a lot. I don't drink anymore, but I think that would have affected me in quite a big way. And making ugly, horrible choices that I made in my 20s and my 30s to a certain degree are all now making me like a better teacher or a better practitioner now. And now I can be more honest with a room full of people, whereas I couldn't have been 5 years ago. I'd bullshit and lie and like do this cheeky thing now, and now I think do the work. And the work is the thing that drives you, and the work is what gets you spoken about.
And then a feeling, was it feeling up as you call it?
Yes, and failing and not being scared for a long time. Like, I think we all experience failures, don't we?
Oh God.
Yeah,
I was petrified of it until I hit 40, and then I just went, oh, do you know what? Fuck it. What's the worst that can, like, genuinely, what's the worst that can happen?
And also, like, what's the worst that's happened so far?
Yeah.
Like I've had all these failures that I'm kind of like, that have personally upset me, because you have hopes and dreams, and you're like, you know, I'm going to get here, there, and etc. But then actually, some of them failures have taken me in a better place than what the other things could have possibly done.
They always do. I think if you've got a positive outlook as well, things would always take you down a better route, just because your brain will do that. You think, oh, well, that hasn't worked. So, okay, well, that opportunity's there. So let's go and grab that. So I think it depends. If you're a positive person, I think you can make your own.
It's also the people that you keep around you, isn't it?
Definitely.
If you're surrounded by like negative Nellies, and they're like, oh, don't do that, and you're like, oh yeah, you're right. It's like when we set up Lonesome, I remember saying to my mum about it, and she said, I don't know why we're still talking about it.
Yeah. Do it.
This is boring me.
Yeah.
Just like you've got pals that run companies that do websites, that do videography, you know, a million actors.
Yeah.
Like she snapped, she's like, why are we still discussing this? Can
Stop
we just
procrastinating?
Yeah, let's have some
do it.
tea, because you've said it before, and now you're boring me.
It's
So,
so easy
yeah.
to procrastinate in this industry because of the fear of failure, I think. And but I think you're right. I think having those people around you, it's having the people around you that are like. Because I think, I mean, I don't know about you guys, like as an actor or in this industry in general, because it's a lot about you, you know, there's a lot of self-doubt that happens in this industry, and equally on the opposite end, having too much of an ego and kind of finding that happy medium between the two. But I think procrastinating is a huge part of that, because it's almost like, well, if I keep putting this off and I don't actually put all my energy into it, if I fail, I can say, well, it's because, you know, I didn't put all my energy into it, it's fine.
Yeah.
So easy. But you have to have people around you that say, just fucking do it. Just do it.
At the same time, you've got to take it seriously, you know.
Yeah,
You've got to put in the work. And as you were saying, you kind of like turn up at auditions, like thinking, oh, well, you know, I'm a minute late. But I had a similar experience. I got an opportunity, and it was a touring theatre company. And but I was working for Katie Seacombe, so Harry Seacombe's daughter, and auditioning at her home in London, and seeing family photos on the wall, and kind of being a fan of the Goons and stuff like that, and kind of going, holy shitballs. And
It's Mr. Bumble.
but I was in the wrong place in my life, and I got this job. I was touring around the country, driving this van. I had a good skill set in the fact that I could drive. I was like one of the only people within the cast that could drive. But I was smoking way too much weed at the time. And I was sort of like just turning up at places. I wasn't really, I turned up at one place. I was doing some bar work, and I finished work at 4 a.m, and I thought, oh, fuck it. I've got a gig in London, I'll just drive there now. I'll have a shower, I'll just drive there. And fell asleep in the van when I got to this destination, for like one of my other cast members to like come up and go on the window. It's like, oh right, yeah, I'm ready. And so like waking up and stumbling into this sort of, but yeah, parking in the wrong places, getting traffic tickets and stuff like that. Go, Jim, you know when you parked the van the other day? Well, we've had a fine come through. Well, we're going to have to dock it off your wages, so sorry, mate.
There is something to be said, though, about being in a place of being in a good place in your life, but not overstressing and being a bit relaxed.
Being unreliable was what I was.
That you were being unreliable there, but you can put too much pressure on yourself. And for a long time when I was chasing being an actor, I was going to auditions, overthinking everything. I'd go on the train, I'd read the script 100 times, and I'd be so built up and tense that when I got into the room, I wasn't in a good state. But recently I got an audition and I feel like I'm in a good place in my life. I read the script once on the train. I walked in, did what I do, and the part was just like handed to me there and then. And it was just like, because I felt different.
Yeah.
I felt I didn't have that intensity that I had before. That this must happen, this must.
I
all
agree
come
with
together.
you. I think I was the same when I started out. I think I was trying too hard to be absolutely perfect. And like to the extent where I was going to the hairdresser and paying for a blow dry before because I had to look, my absolute best. And actually I think it was counterproductive. And nowadays I actually try less hard, but I think I'm better because I've tried less hard because I'm just, you're right, it's an energy shift. I'm more relaxed and I'm a bit more confident. And actually that comes across better than sort of desperately trying to be perfect.
And also, what does perfect mean?
Yeah, it does.
What does perfect
Well, exactly.
mean?
You never reach perfection anyway, so it's a pointless quest.
So Alex, you're someone that's had like two lives, haven't you? You've had like this life.
I've had many lives.
I'm specifically
Many
thinking
lives.
about like you had this you had this life like before, like you had this illness, didn't you? And then you came out of that different.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're coming at things with a different energy now?
Yeah, I've shifted again, I think.
Shifted again?
Yeah.
So you don't just shift once then in your life?
God, no. I think you have, like I say, many lives. Like I talk about things that happened when I was 18, and it feels like I'm talking about a totally different human being.
Yeah.
Like I am not the same person in any way that I was back then. Like I used to be so anxious. I was the most anxious person you've ever met in your life, especially when I was a kid. And now I have no anxiety at all, none, ever. I just refuse to have it.
Love that.
I just won't.
That's great.
And the other thing that I've given up is guilt. I don't have any guilt ever anymore.
Wow, I love
I just
that.
Wow, how'd you do that?
I just
We're all
decided not to.
gazing.
Go on, Alex. Where does this start?
That's it.
Because I've had that recently, actually. I've had a very close friend that I have decided not to do something with, do a piece of work with. But
I won't hold it against you. But,
we'll talk about it afterwards, mate. Yeah, that thing. It's not happening. Well, actually,
This is the safe space.
this
He's
is
going to tell you.
this is why I brought you all together to help me deal with this. But yeah, how do you? Yeah, that guilt is because you care. Could you have that guilt because you care, don't you?
No.
No.
Not always.
No, I think it's an ego thing.
I agree with that.
I think it's because you worry how you're going to look to that person. I don't actually give a shit how I look to people anymore. That's another thing that I've given up.
Expectations as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You're
Because
my new idol.
I know,
I'm so
I
gonna-
know that I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I know that I'm doing the right thing for me, and to be honest, I'm the only one that matters.
but how do you get into that mindset?
I don't know. And honestly,
Because that
if
is the
I
sort
could-
of thing if you could bottle that.
Yeah,
give it to
exactly.
people.
I would make a fortune, and I'd love to because I'm skint. So if I could bottle it, I would literally be selling it for £1 million. I don't know. It was a massive mind shift. And funnily enough, yesterday was the anniversary of that mind shift. How funny is that?
Man.
So that's what you can pinpoint it to the exact
The
day.
exact
So
day.
what happened on that day?
Okay, so the funny thing about this day is it's a threefold thing. So it's my dad's birthday. My dad is my absolute hero. Love my dad.
Okay.
King of my life. It's also, which my mum decided to tell me on my 19th birthday, it's also my conception date. Not many people know what that is, but I do. She said, yeah, you were due on the 19th of November, the 20th of November, and your dad's birthday's on the 20th of February. Did you never work that out? I was like, no, why would I do that? That's not something that anyone ever wants to do. You just told me in front of my boyfriend, thanks very much. So that. But also, I feel like it's my rebirth date as well. Sounds really wanky, but it actually is.
No,
so,
I think it's empowering.
So last year, 2023, 20th of February, I woke up in the morning and I went, right, enough is enough. I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be this anxious, guilt-ridden, fat, ugly thing that I see, and I probably wasn't any, but that's what I saw, and I just went, that's not who you are. And I decided in that moment to be someone completely different, because your thoughts make you who you are. So if you can change your thoughts, if you can change your thinking about yourself, about someone else, about something, you can change your whole life. And I'm literally living proof of it.
I feel like, I was just going, try and soundtrack that.
So maybe we do have to go through the shit then. Maybe we
have
do.
to go through the
maybe
shit.
we have to.
If you don't go
that.
through the shit, you don't understand that. You don't understand. You don't get to that breaking point. And it was a proper breaking point. If I hadn't have made that decision, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be where I am now. But I would still be lost, and I would be dead to myself. I'd still be alive, I'd still be walking around probably, but I would be dead to myself. I wouldn't be who I am. And I genuinely love myself, and not in an egotistical way at all. I genuinely love who I am, the person I am. And if anyone doesn't like me, that's their problem. That's their issue. You do you. That's fine.
You do the whole carrying a picture around of your younger self?
No, I definitely wouldn't do that.
So what's the theory behind that? What's the idea with that?
I was taught, I can't remember who taught this. I've got a picture of me at 8 when I was a shitbag on my mirror, so I see it every day, and I chat to it. And it's that thing about loving yourself, like truly. You said that word before. It's beautiful. Truly, actively loving who you are. It's like is the most special, beautiful gift that people don't have. Like the whole thing about saying I'm fat, ugly, all them things. It's like that's how so many people I know, artists I know, have that. And you're like, if you fucking knew how electric you truly were, you'd be dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think we're conditioned by going, I need to lose weight, you're too fat, your boobs too much.
That is literally the thing that stopped me from getting into the industry professionally.
Mad.
It is that. It was my weight. That was it.
Wow. So it was that self-talk that was stopping you.
Yeah. It's also,
100%.
External.
There was that image about, are you beach body ready for women?
God, that was
I remember seeing that.
Yes,
like,
I have a body and I can go to the beach.
Like,
and Kate was saying like nothing tastes better than skinny feels.
All this stuff.
Yeah,
and I think it's not. I think it's not just a personal thing. I think it's the society that we live in. It's changing massively now. It really is now.
Yeah.
But the picture thing was like having a conversation where me making that kid who was worried or anxious or scared, all things you're saying, proud of who I am today. And again, I just think all that stuff that I think you learn, like I'm 40 next year, I learned it so late. And again, if I learned that in my 30s, when I was like, things were bubbling, things were happening in my career, but I didn't know how to navigate what was going on. So I'll just be a bellend, and that'll be all right. And it's just like, oh, if you stop that and you focused on, you'd just be.
But that's how you've learned
massively.
But it's how you've learned to love those parts of you as well.
Yeah.
And how you've learned to love yourself, because without those damaged bits, without the bits
100%.
that you failed in, you can't. Unless you love all those bits as well, you can't fully love yourself, which means that you can't fully love and give yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Because you genuinely can't. So maybe you're in a position now, like you were saying, where you can 100% give your total self to your students that you're teaching and you're guiding, and it's such a beautiful thing.
Sick.
It's funny you saying about like having a picture of your child self to remind you, because like I mentioned earlier that I've been in therapy for many years, and I'm lucky that I've been encouraged that should be a normal thing to do. I think that
100%.
everyone should at some point, if you have the funds, go to therapy. Because we all go through shit, and that's what makes us. But learning to work through that and to actually talk to, and one thing I've learned a lot recently, and I'm really proud of myself. I've really dedicated, because I was a mess a few years ago. Like I was on the floor.
That's right. I was a mess for 40 years. Don't worry
It's
about
all
it.
good. But I stopped drinking, and I kind of said, okay, I don't want. I was horrifically anxious. I was completely different to how I am now. I said, okay, I don't want to live like this. I was having panic attacks daily. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to therapy, and I'm going to really, truly work through it. And I went to go and see a body psychotherapist, because I was like, I've done cognitive behavioural therapy, like talking through it, and there's something still not happening for me. And I know that it's holding me back in every area of my life. I was so acutely aware of that. And so I went to body psychotherapy, which is where you learn how to reconnect to your body. And again, it sounds really wanky, but the idea is that whenever you go through something shit, you tend to like block it off in parts of your body and distance yourself from it so that we can live and carry on. And what I learned to do through body psychotherapy is have those conversations with my younger self and my inner child and the other parts of me, and do a lot of what they call shadow work, which is what you were saying, like embracing the parts of yourself that you don't particularly like or others have taught you not to like, and kind of embracing yourself as a whole rather than just one side of yourself, and kind of going, this is you as a person, and it's okay, like it's fine, it's more than fine, it's wonderful, it's brilliant, because that's who you are as a person. And to be okay with that, like I as an actor as well, I think you have to learn how to take criticism, but a lot of the time it can hurt. And by doing the work, the shadow work, and kind of embracing this, I know the parts of myself that I used to hate. Like, I'm immensely chatty and I talk for England. And if anyone, I remember a friend turning around to me at dinner once and going, God, do you ever stop talking? And I like completely shut up and went into myself, and I was like, I'm a terrible person, I've been holding the conversation.
Do you ever consider that something like that, though, is your gift?
But that's the thing.
That just because someone else doesn't recognise that, doesn't understand that,
Or someone's threatened by it.
or someone's threatened by it.
Yeah, I think that's often what it is, isn't it?
Jealousy
It's like,
is a bitch.
But that was the wonderful thing, is that I'm so pleased that they brought it up, because it taught me it for a second, for a couple of days I felt awful, and I was really internalising, psychoanalyzing myself. But then I was like, well, no, actually, it's okay. That's fine. That is a part of my personality, and I should not be ashamed of that. And it turned out, because I confronted this friend, and I said, oh, by the way, something you said made me feel a bit off, but I've done the work on it and grand. And they said, oh, no, I love that part of you. Like, I was saying it as like a, God, do you ever stop talking? But in truth, I wouldn't be a friend if I didn't love that part of you. And I love the fact that sometimes you're awkward and sometimes you overthink things and that you talk too much and you tell really bad jokes. She was like, I love that side of you. And it kind of just helped me to put into perspective, and going back again to what you said earlier, do we need to go through these shit experiences to then re-find ourselves and become a new version of ourselves, and then in turn give that back to others? I think that's exactly right. I think that you have to go through these processes in order to then also, as an actor, then draw on those personal experiences to then give a truly authentic performance that
Should all performers go through therapy then? Is that the secret?
I
We all just sit here and go through? Are you going to stop rolling that up in the London workshops? We're going to have a therapy session.
What I would say is the word "should" is banned.
I hate that. I've written that on my Instagram. Literally.
Why should ban?
I should go to the gym. I shouldn't eat that cake. Fuck that language off.
Yes.
Completely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just do it.
I go
Should
to
is a
therapy.
horrendous
You go to
word.
therapy. I love going to therapy. You can put your therapist's fingers up your bum if you want. Do whatever you want. I want to go to therapy. It's not. I think those expectations the world puts on us. It's like, you shouldn't do that. You should go to that. No, shush.
Ayvianna, how do you feel?
Let's have a row. So I heard you say it when I always hear myself just go that. Like when actors say the word trying, you never try.
Yeah.
You just do.
Yeah.
You be here now.
Yeah.
All that language that, like, again, it's like forced upon us. No, I only go to the gym today. I felt all right with it. I might go tomorrow. I might have more cake. I don't know.
The thing is, I think if you say the word should, that's almost like it's like there's an expectation there, and you don't actually want to do it.
Yeah, it's like
So if you go, I should do this, you don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
Yeah.
That's different. I should do that. You're already putting barriers in. Don't do it.
And they say that thing about making promises to yourself. So I'm going to the gym tomorrow at 7. That won't be discussed again. I'll be in the gym by 7.
Yeah.
And I love that, like making promises to yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas again, 21-year-old Niall would never have done that. So I'll get drunk again and I'll just get my willy out again. No, maybe not. It's like, what? Why being a mug?
That's because you see your self-worth as well. And I think you get to a point where you go, no, I'm worth this.
Yeah.
I'm worth getting up at 6 o'clock every morning and doing exercise.
Taking up space. And we say that all the time in workshops. You deserve to be here as an artist. And you're allowed to fail and mess it up and stutter and trip. That's fine. Because through that, you're going to get to go again and make development and growth. But loads of places and spaces just don't. Like, if you get it wrong, it means you're bad. You're not. You're an
it's the whole
artist.
thing about being a good girl and a good boy.
It's just not the right time.
Yeah.
What is being a good girl or a good boy? You know, when you tell kids, "Oh, you're such a good girl.
That's a pet hate
Such a
of
good
mine.
boy." Why? Like, what have they actually done? Tell them that. Thank you for saying please, because that was, that made me feel like I was appreciated. Not good boy. Pat on the head.
How does that fit within the independent film world, Ayvianna? How does that fit that kind of whole? You're trying to within the independent film world. There can be a lot of criticism come from outside. You're getting reviewed quite a lot, aren't you? All these films. How does it? Like in all these films that you've been in, they do get
review.
Well, they tend to, don't they, with independent films, because of there tends to be like a lack of money sometimes, or fresh and new skills are coming through. People learning their craft, so the audience heavily criticise it because they expect.
It should have had a better script. Should have done this.
The lighting should have been better. The sound should have been better. The actors should have been better. But independent films. It tends to be a place where everyone's learning and growing.
Yeah, and I think you shouldn't be afraid. Oh God, I've said should again.
We're going to be allergic to it now. It's great.
Just for myself.
Don't say no's around.
I am not afraid of failure, and I think it's a good idea not to be afraid of failure, because you have to fail in order to learn and to grow and to get better and to improve. And I've been in a lot of badly reviewed films, but I'm not ashamed. And actually, I think it's better. At least I was doing it. At least we all showed up and sincerely attempted to make a film, even if the lighting wasn't great or often we don't have much budget or much resources. But I always say you're not going to start with a budget of 10 million. Nobody starts with that budget unless you're very already famous or well connected. You start with a few thousand and you try and you make something, and then you build you're building towards your future. So no, I don't think you should ever be ashamed of having made something that wasn't a success.
So where does the audience come into all of this?
They don't.
You see, I disagree.
You don't make
as a theatre person.
You don't make art for the audience. Make it for you.
Oh no!
So
See, I think personally, I like to do something, put something on that has an effect on the audience, because I believe that theatre. Majority of my creative output is through theatre, and when I was studying, I was massively into Brecht. And about exposing everything, showing everything how it worked, and how he was exposed to trauma during the First World War, and he came to theatre as a way of expressing his distaste for the system and the political situation, stuff like that. His first job was or career was as a medic. And he used to take the German soldiers that were injured on the battlefields, he'd patch them up well enough to shove them back out in the front line. And he was just like, what the fuck's going on with this? And so that was how he kind of then went into this system of like raw against the government and the system and how everything works. And I was like, oh, that's amazing, because it makes you think and feel something about what you've just witnessed and experienced and the message that it's put across. If you're doing it just for the art, then I feel be a painter, be a musician or something like that. But if you are there to perform, you are performing to somebody, you are performing to an audience. And therefore, if you are going to do that, you have to have the audience in mind, because what are you doing it for? What effect do you want that audience to have, having experienced the art that you've created?
Can I add something to that? Would you
Yeah.
mind? It reminded me of, because I read a book, I think it was David Mamet, I can't quite remember, but the difference between the Stanislavskian technique and Brecht.
Yeah.
Because Stanislavski, I think, would have agreed with you in that he does it for himself and his actors, and the audience are behind a fourth wall, and you don't even look at them or think about them. Whereas Brecht was all about trying to actually engage the audience, and Brecht used to say he didn't mind if the audience actually shouted out during the performance, treat it like a boxing match.
Yeah.
And one of the main differences that David Mamet pointed out was that Stanislavski was a wealthy man who didn't need to rely on the money from the audience coming in every week to pay to keep the theatre running, whereas Brecht was a poor man and needed to engage them because they had got to buy tickets and come back next week.
Yeah.
And I think that always struck me as really, really interesting.
And how does that sit with you when you're performing, you're singing, you get right in there with the audience, don't you? You really bring them in.
I do, and I really enjoy that, and I never did before. That was what. So to come back to something you said about when we perform, it's very us. It's very almost sort of exposed because it's about us. That's something that I've challenged in myself, and I've shifted, because when it was about me, getting up on that stage and being exposed as me performing, it was terrifying. That was where my anxiety was coming from. It was terrifying because people were looking at me and looking at me to perform. It's not about me. It's got nothing to do with me. I'll do the set. I'll get up there and I'll sing well, or I won't, or whatever. But what it is it's about the people that are in that audience that are experiencing, like you said, what I'm giving to them. I can't tell them what to experience. I can't give them an experience. They are experiencing it as each individual person that is watching me. I can turn up and do what I do, and they will take from it whatever they take.
But in amongst your set, you could be singing the song that they first danced to when they first met.
Or I could be singing the one
song,
or I could be singing the one that was at their nan's funeral that makes them think of death.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't. I'm not going to change my set
by their
that.
own perception.
Exactly, and everything is. Life is coloured by your own perception. So that's what I mean about people, when they look at you, they don't see the same person. You won't look at me and see the same person that you see.
Well,
And
my
you won't
eyesight's
see...
awful, so that's probably dreadful eyesight. It's just a blur, to be honest with you. It's a blur.
But then the person I see of me is nothing like anyone else sees. So that you've got to just, like you say, turn up, do the work, be prepared to fuck it up a bit maybe, but that's the bit that I love.
There you go. No, so we paused there for a second. You brought up play, why that's important.
Yeah, I think just playing with the audience. Like, I love Brecht. When I did my A-levels, I had to study Stanislavski and Brecht. They were the two, because I'm very old and Arto wasn't even a thing. So they were the two that I had. And I love Stanislavski because it was very real, and it was very, and I understood that, and that was my experience of life. The older I get, the more I love Brecht, because it's that experience, it's that drawing people in, it's that pulling people and challenging them and making them think for themselves, and that, and it is the play.
There is one book that I was given when I was studying acting, and it's The Theory of the Modern Stage. It's quite an old book now, But what it is, it's a collection of essays from different playwrights, from different technical people. So there's like lighting designers from like the 1900s. There's a lighting designer called Adolphe Adolphi who writes this essay about the plasticity of the stage, about how with light you can make it do it whatever you want it to do. It's fascinating and kind of influences how I direct and things like that. But there's lots of different practitioners in there, and the Brecht essay in there is about the ABC and about the street corner theatre. And the way that it's broken down is there's an accident that happens on a street corner.
I know this.
And you have somebody who is trying to relay what's happened, a witness trying to relay what's happened to a police officer. And the best way that they can relay what happened is by acting it out. And so that person is the actor who is, so you got A, the actor, B, the audience, who is the police officer, and C, the story that is being told. And at no point does the police officer believe that the witness has gone through the accident. He knows that this is a witness all the way through the retelling of this story. And so there's that sort of distancing. So things like John Godfrey, when he does like teachers and stuff like that, at no point do you believe that these characters, actually it's a really weird one, because you have to believe that these kids are students, but you have to remember that they are not the actual teachers, they are the kids playing the teachers. Yeah. And it's sort of like, there's this sort of like, well, you can come this close, but we're going to remind you that we're only acting.
It's the contract that you go into when you go in to watch something, isn't it? It's that suspension of disbelief. Exactly. Yeah. So you walk in as an audience member and you go, I know this isn't real, but you get invested anyway, don't you? Like, oh my God, Blood Brothers. Every time I am in pieces. Oh. I don't even cry. I don't cry anything. I do now. I'm getting old and menopausal. But I get invested. I'm an actor. I know it's not real, and I am in pieces. We do, don't we?
Oh, I can't even listen to Defying Gravity.
That's my favourite thing to sing.
That song is just like...
I do that on my gig.
Luna, is there a difference when you perform to children a lot?
Yeah.
Is there a difference there? Like we're caring about the audience, caring about...
Yeah.
Because you're great.
Yeah,
when,
it is knackering.
You know, I've worked with you when you're up here and you've got 100 kids over there. Every single one of them kids feel like you're talking to just them.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I think I was thinking about where I kind of stand on, not this disagreement as such, but this kind of like varying points of view on whether or not we create art for ourselves or the audience and what that relationship is like, because it's a strange relationship, isn't it? But I think I said this when we last had this kind of chat, was that from the dawn of human beings, we've all gathered in rooms or around campfires and told stories. That's a way that we communicate as humans. It's kind of like into our core of who we are. That's a way that we that's how language was created, is through telling stories and through talking about which poisonous berries you shouldn't eat and, you know, where's the best hunting grounds. It was kind of the foundation of who we are. And I think my opinion is that it's about both. It's about the actors and the audience. Because for me, like you were saying, the suspension of belief, I think that there's so many things that I put into performances, whether or not it's for children, which is just kind of purely for pleasure, as well as like maybe educational, or some of the hard-hitting plays that I've done that cause audience members to question things, and myself to question, you know, people's experiences. I think at the core of it all, the thing that is always present is this idea that the world can be a bit shit. Like out there, we go through a lot, and there's constantly adult things we have to worry about, or even kids. You know, kids go through so many worries, but for a very short space of time, we have this strange commitment that we all do as audience members and performers, where we say, okay, we're all gonna, strangers, gather in a dark room for 2 hours, and we're gonna forget that the world outside exists, and we're all gonna collectively go, we're just going to sit in this little bubble for a while and enjoy it. And we're going to cry, we're going to get angry, but we're going to we're going to use this form of communication in a totally different way. We're going to play, which is what we were saying about earlier. And yeah, we're just going to kind of dissociate from the world for a little bit. We're going to kind of forget that it exists, and we're going to take a little break to experience what someone else is going through. And I think that's always present to me, whether or not I'm performing to kids or adults or, you know, students, anyone, is this idea of we've all made a commitment here to try something. As an actor, we're trying something. As audience members, we're trying something. We're going to see a show that we haven't seen before with new actors. And we're just going to kind of suspend belief for a little while, and we're going to take a little break, and we're going to feel something different, and we're going to be challenged. And whether or not it's a pantomime, which, let's be honest, like the format isn't particularly challenging in terms of emotional turmoil, but I love it because I see just as much enthusiasm from the kids who are watching it than if I was to be performing in Blood Brothers that I'd see from the adult audience members there. The kids get just as invested and just as emotional about it. And I think, for me, that's the core of all of this. It's that motion, that's that moment. Or is that your alarm going off?
That is me. That's saying it's 9:20.
Have you got to go?
No, not to go. But Jim will be leaving soon. No, sorry that interrupted you there.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
It's also about the battery life on the mics as well. So.
Yes, it is about the battery life on the mic.
It's, for me, it's connection between people. That's what any kind of art is, whether or not you're a painter or a musician. It's about finding a way to connect with people, and you're not always going to do it. And I think that, like what you were saying earlier, creating it for yourself, that's okay. I think I said to you, if one person, I created a show recently, it was a completely new script, no one had ever heard of it, and people said, oh, you know, are you afraid if people won't like it? And I said, yeah, of course, but I'm okay with the fact that if one person comes to see it in the entire run, if one person sees it and feels something from it, it's done its purpose. And even if that one person is one of the actors, it's done its purpose because it's had some kind of connection or communication with someone. And
so why then now, as we started this conversation, as soon as I put it out there, the audience mattering, you just went to no. Where did that come from?
I think it's because when we did a workshop in New York and the scene ended and everyone used to clap, and this girl went to me, why are you making people clap? Because then it's a performance. It's not. It's a training ground which allows and accepts failure and setbacks and all those magical things. And when I directed plays for years, I remember thinking, oh, I want this to be this. And it was always because I had to make that piece of art. I had to tell that story. I had to get those collection of actors. So it was always because it was an impulse to do it. And that impulse would be shifted if Bob and Bill and Sue and Sally had different opinions about that. So I don't when I'm in workshops, it's not about us, your bum being for me for those three. I don't care. Because I'm watching you make art because you have to make art.
I think I know what you mean. I agree. It's about not being affected by the judgment. I do agree with that, and it's the same thing that you said about you can't control how they receive it.
Exactly.
And you're right about that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was saying about, you know, I when I perform, the thing that gets rid of my anxiety is actually that non-expectation that I put on myself.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a weird one because I don't really care what the audience think of what I do. I do what I do because I love it.
You have to do it.
Because I love it, because I have to do it, because I want to do it. And if one person in that audience loves it, great. If one person in that audience walks out and goes, "What a crock of shit," great. Well, I can't do anything different.
But you've made them have an emotional connection. So that they feel like they either need to applaud or they need to walk out.
It's
and what you say
so
about
you're still affecting the audience. So the audience is still important in some way, shape or form.
You're not going to alter what you do because that person stormed out, because you have to create this.
But you have to be that grounded within yourself to absolutely know that what you're doing is right.
Matters.
And matters to you, and you know that it will matter to someone else at some point. I've got a friend who I'm actually seeing on Sunday, and he's he won't mind me saying his age, so I'm not going to say his name. He's 74, and 18 months, 2 years ago, he lost his wife, and he came to see one of my shows, a show that I did down at South Mill Arts, in the bar, and I knew he was coming, but I genuinely didn't know how much that show would mean to him. And he said, that is the first time that I have smiled and my cheeks have hurt.
I was there.
You were there. And my cheeks have hurt in the last 18 months. And that was why I did that show. That was why I did that show. No one, I didn't give a shit about anyone else in there. My mum was there. My dad was there. My hero was there. I love you, but I didn't give a shit about you that night because my mate was there and it made him smile, and he hadn't done that for 18 months.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
And I just think it is, you know, like I said, it is about those connections, and I don't perform just for the audience. I do it for myself as well, but I do agree that it's like, if you can have something, if you can have one of those really cool moments, one of those rare moments of connection, I think it's amazing. But like what I completely agree with what you said
It's
earlier.
an interesting question, because like, I did a modelling job yesterday, and I was interested to see how far. So this was a photographer an artist. He creates sculptures and sort of beautiful visual things, and they sell for thousands of pounds in galleries. But I was really interested to what extent his art was driven by what would sell. And it's an interesting question as to at what point where does the art stop and the commerce start? Because at one point I was doing different poses, and he said, right, well, you can't do that because that pose never sells. It's got to be this. So, and then I'm doing the thing, and then even down to, you can't wear that color won't sell. It's got to be that color. And it's the same with filmmaking. I have, again, I won't name anyone, but I have filmmaker friends, and they actually ran like a special analytical search on Google to see what terms people were Googling, like, is it vampires, is it werewolves? And then they work backwards and they write their script based on what's come up top on Google Analytics.
Do you think there's the possibility of true and longevity and success from doing that? Because when they're doing that, it's from a commercial standpoint.
Exactly, and I wonder whether.
And so, what is the true value within that?
They're not, are they still authentically making art,
No.
or are they now are they just making something to sell? But maybe that's fine. I don't know.
Oh, it's fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that if you're doing it from a commercial perspective, and that's your reason for doing it. That's a very valid reason.
Yeah.
But it's not the same reason as someone doing it for art.
Yes.
It's just a different reason.
So, so as we sort of we're wrapping this up now. Okay, bearing in mind everything that we've discussed tonight, and that we've collectively shared. You brought something up earlier about talking to your younger self, your 8-year-old self. Let's say we're all getting a time machine together right now. We go back and visit our 8-year-old selves.
Oh my God!
What would we say to them?
Don't be a dickhead. That's it.
That's what you'd say to yourself.
Yeah.
You'd say that to yourself.
I would, because I have been for so many years. I was so worried about what everyone else thought, and it just turned me into an absolute dickhead.
Yeah.
I wasn't the person that I should have been, and that really frustrates me, actually, that I wasn't this person for a long time. I know I had to go through all the shit to get to this person, but if I hadn't been such a dickhead, I would have got to this a lot earlier.
Would you have any kind words for yourself?
No.
Sonny, it's fine.
I don't think I would, because I needed that snap to get out of it.
Ayvianna?
I would tell myself to listen to my own voice.
Love that.
The own voice inside, because we all have a little voice inside our own head which knows. But I think it's very easy to get, especially when you're young, listen to what other people are telling you. And a lot of people told me, you're never going to be an actor. Don't be stupid. You can't be an actor. You'll never be an equity chair. You'll never be this. You'll never be that. But I knew, even when I was very young, I knew. And you've got to drown out everyone else's voice and listen. Your own voice knows.
That was a very eloquent way of saying "don't be a dickhead." That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, it's just,
thanks for saying it for me.
I agree. It's just slightly different language, but I think we're actually on the same page.
Yeah.
No? You do this every morning, apparently. So
Yeah, I'd say that thing about keep coming back home to self, and then ask yourself, what do you need now? And if you honestly come back and you check and you go, what do you need now? And sometimes it is like ringing your best mate or getting some fresh air or eating some vegetables. But if I asked that to my teenager self when I was at university, when I come out of drama school, it wouldn't have been an easier life, but it would have a lot less mistakes. The mistakes have been beautiful as well, but I think I'd say keep coming back home to self, and it isn't about anyone else. And don't buy Nuts magazine. It's right. Just why I was like watching.
It was only £1.70, wasn't it?
Whatever it was,
Like
FHM, all that stuff. I gave so much money. Like, don't buy a beauty magazine.
But I guess
Don't do any
it's
of
the
it.
influence that material is having on you isn't necessarily always the right material that you need to be absorbing.
And it's weird, like pick your idols because they'll inevitably fail you, but pick them very carefully.
And they're not in FHM.
They're definitely not in that. FHM was like £3.60.
I know, it's dear, yeah.
But yeah, don't buy any of that crap and come back home and ask yourself the right questions.
What are we saying, Luna?
I'd say worrying means you suffer twice. I'd say you can worry about all of those things that you are, because I was a chronic worrier to the point of just like not being able to do anything for as young as I can remember, and it didn't change a damn thing. It didn't change a thing. I'd say to my younger self, things are going to happen to you. Some terrible things are going to happen to you anyway. It doesn't matter how much you worry about them; they're going to happen anyway. And inevitably, you are okay. You survive at least this far. You know, worrying means you suffer twice, and I suffered a lot. I suffered. Well, who was it that said? I think it was an actor who said, "I've suffered a great many things that never happened." And that's true for me. And it's only really in the past couple of years that I've started to go, okay, these things are going to happen anyway, and sometimes great things happen. And if I'd stopped worrying about certain things, more great things might have happened. Just through trusting myself, again, what you were saying, listening to your inner voice, and kind of going, no, I do trust myself. Trust yourself more, worry less. That's what I'd say.
Nice. Yeah. I think it's sort of a little bit of everything. When I was 8, was my first proper experience of being in a professional theatre, and that was at that age. That was the age where I went, oh my God, this is what I want to do. So if I was to go back to that 8-year-old, I would basically say, this is what you're going to do. Focus, concentrate on it, and don't listen to all the bullshit from the adults around you, because you're just going to get caught up in all of their politics and all of their anxieties and all of their expectations. Concentrate on yourself, work hard at it, and you'll get there. And maybe I'd have got here a bit quicker instead of pissing around like I did.
Maybe we're all in like the perfect place right now.
I feel like I am. Yeah.
You know, we put a lot on ourselves, don't we? We put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
What would you say to your 8-year-old?
You don't get to turn this round.
Oh yeah, nice one. Yes.
What would I say? Gosh, I would say play more, have more fun.
Hang on a second. How can you not play more?
No, but like too much stuff was too serious. Too much stuff had to be done, and doing the right thing, and should. Too much stuff should be done.
I think that's definitely. Don't be a dickhead, and there is no should.
But listening to everyone talking about what they'd say to their younger selves, they're
Kind
all
of similar.
quite similar.
Yeah.
It's all listen to your own voice.
Yeah.
And
Don't get distracted.
Don't get distracted by what other people are telling you should be or what you should do. I think that is the core of it.
Because you can be whatever you want to be, can't you?
Yeah.
And I think we tell people that they can't so much, you know, whether it's the education system or whether it's a parent or whether it's an auntie or whether it's a friend or whatever, we tell people they can't so much that they start to believe it, and it's so sad.
One of my hats is as a public speaking coach, and that is one of the hardest things I have to do is to get people to get out of their heads and stop worrying about what other people think of them.
Yeah, massively.
And it's just like, stop worrying about everything else around you. You concentrate on you.
Yeah.
You've got a story to tell. You have value in the life experiences you've been through and what have brought you to this point. And so tell that story.
And that's what we'll do.
So you say in the audience doesn't matter?
Think about it.
No, because
I'm joking. I just thought I'd say that.
But we'll leave,
Damn you.
I know.
we've all definitely got stuff to take away, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff to think about, stuff to, you know, if there is an audience out there watching or listening, we're grateful for them joining us, of course.
Yeah.
You know, we do appreciate the audience.
Always.
And if you want to put in the order for the Don't Be a Dickhead t-shirts, I'll
I'll
source
copyright
them
that.
out.
Whether
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
audience or not, we've still experienced something new as people.
Yeah.
We've still taken something from here. But if people witness it as an audience, then that can only be a bonus. That can only be a good thing. I think.
Yeah.
Well, tell us one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Like, we do genuinely appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
With whatever we do, whatever thing that we're sharing, we appreciate people coming along for the ride. So thank you, and thank you all of you for being here this evening.
Thanks
This
for
has
having
been lovely. This has been really nice.
If you could put the heating on next time, that would be nice.
It is so
It's
cold.
got cold all of a sudden,
I
hasn't
am
it?
genuinely cold.
Yeah,
Keep it on the edge.
it's an old building.
I should have followed Niall and kept me hat.
Yeah.
I know, I am genuinely cold. Yeah.
I appreciate this, guys.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you. It's been lovely.